Hello there. Welcome to my website. I'm Jim Brown, and I write a weekly column that you see posted this week. And in addition, I try to give you some commentary as to what I'll talk about on our national radio show and also some interesting events that are taking place. The column this week, I think, is apropos no matter where you live in this country. Insurance is something that none of us like to pay. We don't often see the results and wonder why we're paying such high premiums. And I certainly understand that because I served as Louisiana's insurance commissioner for 12 years. And when I was commissioner, we didn't have the hard draw in the dirt lines we see today in so many of our political issues, whether you've got an R or a D after your name, for example, in both national politics and state politics. Insurance, I didn't pit the insurance industry against consumers or policyholders. I tried to reach a balance and see a fair shake for policyholders. And that still, you have to admit that insurance companies got to make some money. If they don't make a profit, they're not going to be here in the state. Now, my home state of Louisiana is a little unique because we have the hurricane challenges that are so great, and therefore rates are going to be a little higher for property insurance. Also, auto insurance is quite high down here. It was when I was there, but not as nearly as much as it is now. We in Louisiana, back when I was commissioner in the 90s, were about in the middle of the country. You've got a large port, for example. You've got problems with chop shops where people will steal vehicles and cut them all up and send them overseas. A lot of that's going on. When you live in an area like we live where there's a lot of sinkholes and there's a lot of unsettling because you're building highways right through swamps, then you're going to have some defects on the highways. You're going to have a little bit more accidents, but not to the tune that it is today. It wasn't like that then. There was a balance. And the same rates ought to apply in Louisiana that are similar to those in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, because we're all on the coast and should be the same. Well, in my home state, it's not. We're the highest in the country in both automobile insurance and homeowners insurance. And so I did some checking on this, and there was some hearings in the last few weeks to show you what happens in some states, not every state, but in some states. And the worst example is my home state, Louisiana. A study just was completed by the Louisiana National Consumer, or by the National Consumer Federation of America, a national group looking at the rates in Louisiana, something that never happened when I was there. Let me show you what you pay. Did you know that you pay a widow tax on your insurance in Louisiana? If you're a widow, you might pay 15% more than if you were married because you lost your spouse. They charge you a 15% penalty. Why would an insurance department allow any insurance company to do anything like that? Now, not all insurance companies do that, but a number in Louisiana charge a widow tax. I'm just stunned by that. If you're a blue-collar worker, you pay a lot more than you've got a college degree. That has nothing to do with your driving record or your responsibility. In fact, it's even more egregious. For example, auto insurers in my home state of Louisiana, that wealthy drivers that get a DWI, if you're over, say, $100,000 a year, you pay less than a driver who doesn't have the top credit rating. If you've just got an average or low credit rating, then you pay a lot more than a wealthy driver who's got a DWI. Now, credit scores are something that are quite controversial. I never saw what credit scores have to do. People often have some problems financially. There may be a sickness in the family. They have to borrow a lot of money. And when you borrow money, that affects your credit score. So a low credit score has got nothing to do at all with your driver's record. But in Louisiana, if you have a low credit score, you pay a lot more. You pay a lot more if you're African American in my state of Louisiana. African Americans pay more, as much as 70% more if you're black versus someone who's white in the same circumstance. All of these irregularities are allowed to carry on. I can go on with a long list for you in terms of what people pay that really are outside the bounds of common sense, in my opinion. So there's going to be a lot of scrutiny and review here, and I would just show you these examples to check in your home state. You got to check around, and rates I find are different and varying based on a whole variety of factors. You know, how well the company is doing. Companies maybe are making a bigger profit in one state so they can afford to take a less profit in another state. Do some checking around with your insurance agent. Don't just take the first quote you get. If you check around, you might find a lot lower insurance rate. And if you live in my home state of Louisiana, you better do a lot of checking, because the results show that depending on what class you're in, you can pay a heck of a lot more. You can see a lot of these examples in my column that's posted this week. It's up all this week on our website, so click on it, take a look at it. Glad you're on my site. Glad you're watching. Talk to you again soon. Take care.